Jim left the building.
I'm sorry, Jim Frank?
Isn't there a light that comes on?
Somebody's got to start it, I think. So what do I know? These glasses, these are cool. Did you use Mr. School?
Not me.
All right. Oh, Ben left the building, not you.
I am.
Are you?
I'm going rogue.
No.
Yes.
Again?
So is Anna.
Huh?
So is Anna.
Anna who? Espinosa?
Yeah.
Is she? I didn't know she even had any. I thought that was, I didn't know she colored it.
Eddie,
Well, I have 5 o'clock, but I don't have a text from Jim.
Eddie stresses her out.
What? We are live. All right.
Here we go.
All right, well, here we are with our Public Works Committee meeting at City Hall. If you don't mind, let's do a roll call. I know we're all familiar with each other, but we are live. And just for the courtesy of our viewers, we can introduce ourselves. Obviously, 6th Ward Alderman Alicia Ruiz, Chair of the committee.
Rob Pavone, 5th Ward Alderman.
Bob Fate, 4th Ward Alderman.
Scott Lennon, First Ward Alderman.
Bob Schiller, Public Works Director.
Awesome. So I know we have one alderman here as a guest. Didn't know if you had any statements or comments you wanted to make? No?
No, we're good.
All right, well, seeing that we don't have any visitors, I will close open forum and call the meeting to order at exactly 5 p.m. Our first agenda item is actually a review. We discussed this previously in one of our meetings, the veteran vehicle stickers. I had proposed that the city offer a vehicle sticker at no cost to our veteran population. I know that before my tenure, there was a discussion about this and it was not moved forward. And I feel that it's definitely a conversation to continue. At our last meeting, if you recall, we decided to table it and see if we could at least get some data on what that population is. Also talk about finances, what that would cost us annually, and then where we would go from there. So at our last meeting, if you recall, I provided, and I apologize I didn't bring it tonight, hopefully you still have it available, if not I can email it to everyone. I had did some research on our surrounding sister neighborhoods to see what they were offering as far as vehicle costs, sticker costs to their veterans, who was offering it, if it was a discounted rate. And I did our 5 surrounding areas, so it was mostly Lyons, Stickney, Cicero, Oak Park, Forest Park. Those were the ones that I included just to kind of have something for comparison. I pulled data for the 2019 ACS census data. Unfortunately, I was not able to manipulate 2020. But looking at, everyone has a sheet here with the breakdown. I also have it broken down by age. And the reason I did it by age is because we do as a city offer 1 free sticker to seniors. Bob, is that every senior in the household or 1 per household?
It's 1 per household.
1 per household, okay. So I broke it down by age because some of the costs could be already expensed because we do offer that. And so if you I don't wanna review every data point in this sheet, but just to give our audience a little bit of an idea, right now, according to the 2019 census data, it says that we have a total of 1,664 veterans. If we break that down by age, the one that I think could possibly have some discount in proposing this idea would be our veterans our senior citizens that receive city stickers now that are 65 and older, and right now that would only give us possibly 11. Between the ages of 65 to 74, there are 0 veterans in the city of Berwyn. Of course, I could get updated data, but this is again 2019.
But you're talking female. It says male, we have 316 here.
But that's the total population, but then when you go to veteran, underneath it's 0.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And then when you go.
So it's veteran, then it goes to female.
No, that's in
Male.
that's in the females.
Yeah, but male, it
Bottom
says
is
there's
females.
379.
Oh, we have four,
No, we have
65.
316 from
Where do you
65
see
to,
316?
Where it says male.
right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Correct?
Okay, got it.
All right.
Correct.
That's the male.
That's the male, 316, and then female is 0.
Right, and we have 379 over 75.
75 and older.
379, and then we have 11
So
female.
we're talking like 700 that are probably already getting stickers,
If they drive.
if they drive.
Correct.
So, and
So,
like Bob
they-
said, a lot of them maybe don't drive, yeah, which I know a handful don't.
Yeah, you start getting above 75, some have chosen to stop driving.
So that 1,600 brings us down to about 900 now. And thank you, Rob.
Did you do all the math, Alderman?
Well,
Rob's the math guy here, so he's down to 912.
and I think we're a little low, but I think we're okay. Well, because if you look at that number,
Right.
that's not, you
That's
gotta use,
not,
you
and
gotta
this
use
is
an
just for,
equalizer.
right,
You gotta use an equalizer, so
Right.
even if it's 1,100, it's still not the number we thought it was originally.
Bob's talking about the overall population that this is giving us. It says 40,000, which is substantially lower than what our actual population is.
Correct.
So if we had,
Yeah.
that's why
If
he's
you
giving
use,
us
yeah,
in
you use an
excess of
equalizer
200.
in there, so if it's, yeah, I mean, if it's another couple hundred, it's still not what we thought the original number that we
The
thought. it was gonna be.
40,000, the number of vehicle stickers we sold.
No, this is from census. This information here,
All right,
so, that's,
all right, but even if it's 1,000,
right, even if it's 1,100, it's not what we thought it
thought
was.
it was.
So 1,100 at $50, and that's if they
If
are
they-
street parking or if they're, well, they have to be street parking. Well, no, garages,
And
Garage or street.
This was
Correct.
gonna be, well, that's gonna be the discussion. Do you give away, as a veteran, do you give them a garage vehicle sticker, and if they need to upgrade to an on-street, do they pay the difference? Or do we just give them a free one?
Well, what's the numbers? What are we looking at?
so we're looking, if we use Bob's equalized number of 1,100, we're looking at $55,000 a year because our vehicle stickers.
Possible, that's if everybody came in and bought one.
And that, correct. And
Okay.
that's it, that's just at the general sticker,
Mhm.
it doesn't include garage or just
Right, that's not the
anything of the sort.
reductions or anything like that.
Correct. We're at 55,000. With potential for growth, right? Well, also, it'll probably always continue to fluctuate, because you'll have
It's
some,
gonna
like you said, that
fluctuate.
decide not to
Move in,
drive or
move
don't
out,
have a
not
car,
drive.
move in, move out.
Yeah, move in, move out, that kind of stuff, so you're gonna fluctuate a little bit.
And this number might not capture everybody anyway.
It may not.
The
But the
census
thing
didn't
is
capture
that if we're gonna look at this, we need to make sure that we modify our ordinances such that there's one free sticker per household. Whether it's a senior, a veteran, a senior that is a veteran, if you have multiple seniors in the house, one's a veteran, one's a senior, they still only get one free sticker per household.
That's kind of how we're talking, yeah, right?
Well, I mean, that's
Do we
all,
agree on
that's
that, or-
all open for discussion. That's for us to determine. I think our biggest concern was the finances, like what are we looking at an annual basis? And if we felt that that was feasible, or did we need to start talking about categories and stipulations and regulations to kind of control the cost of it. So right now, we're looking roughly at $55,000 a year.
Just kind of guessing, yeah. Well, we at least have an idea now.
Well, it's a lot lesser than we thought it was gonna be. We were originally at
We
300,000.
thought it was gonna be in the hundreds of thousands, so.
Right. Any comments?
I'm kind of good with the one per household, like Bob's saying, if there's 75, you're not gonna give them 2 for each car, I think, give them that one senior one or a veteran one. So, unless we feel we want to hand out one for the veteran and one for the wife, or spouse, who's ever there.
Well, if you wanna continue down this path of just kinda getting a rough idea of what we're working with, if you assume that every veteran Well, if we look at our, what is our, senior population, did you add that up?
No, I did the opposite. I did under,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So if we look at our senior ones,
Which is what, 65 and up?
65 and up.
65 and up, so we're looking at 316.
Yeah, it's 370.
316, 379,
And then add.
plus 11, right?
1046. No, you're adding just the veterans or all seniors?
No, I'm doing seniors, 65
Okay.
and older.
Okay, then you want 1676.
No, you want just veterans.
You
Just
want-
veterans.
That's what I said, you want just veterans or all
No,
seniors?
just
All right,
veterans.
then-
65 and up?
Then it's 316,
379.
395, 406.
406, 65 and up.
So if it's 406 and you wanna assume they all have a partner, then that would
That would be an
obviously.
additional 400 vehicle stickers,
Right.
possibly, but like Bob said, a lot of these aren't driving anymore.
Could be.
So we're looking at $22,000.
Or,
Addition.
that's at max, at max, yeah, so,
That's if we did the idea of if there was a veteran plus a senior
we're selling
in the
100%
household,
veteran now, yeah, and we're not gonna.
and they're different, so like you said, a spouse, two spousal units, two partners.
So now you're up to about $78,000.
Yeah, $78,000.
And that's at the high end, and I think it's gonna be lower, personally.
So it's just more food for thought, it's not what I'm proposing
Okay.
or suggesting.
Did you
just
kinda wanna
giving
come to a
different-
conclusion tonight, cause we've been talking about this for quite a while,
We have, I know we have.
cause they need to know downstairs soon, don't they?
Well, we would definitely need to know by March the latest whether, well, actually sooner than that, because this has to go before council.
Let's go before
And does
council.
this have to go with budget, Bob?
It should, because we're gonna have to figure out where we're losing 80 grand.
We would have to
If
send
we're
it to
gonna
them.
raise 80 grand of additional revenue.
Yeah. So it'd have to go to finance, then it would have to go to council.
So I think we should make a decision here by January, next 30 days.
Mhm. One of, and Bob, I know we've never really had conversations about it after, but, I know both of you recall that when we did the increases for the vehicle stickers, probably what, 3 years now?
Oh, God, it's longer than that. but
Maybe longer, yeah.
Yeah, it's longer.
And we had that money purposely earmarked, and we never identified what it would be earmarked for, but that money should have been accumulating over the years. Now, I know we
We'll
had,
have to double check with finance
Right,
and see
I
where
know
that
we've
is
had,
and how much it is.
some disastrous situations occur in the last year, but that's definitely something that could be considered to cover the cost of this. It's one option.
Yeah. So I'm 100% behind this plan. I like the idea that we're gonna be supporting our veterans in this way. I still feel a tension between making it kind of a choice for households, just because I know that we have a lot of multi-generational homes and households in our city, and that could stir up some issues within homes if there's multiple folks that could benefit from some type of, support in this way if they're not having to pay. And so I'm in favor of a more universal policy that just like allows us to cover a veteran's sticker regardless of any other situation.
Regardless of age, Rob, yeah?
Well, regardless of how many in a house.
Yeah, how many in a house, so age meaning,
So
I
you
meant
could-
like 65 and
You
up.
could give away
Well,
four
I'm saying
four stickers in a house.
Per veteran.
You
If-
could add-
if they're all living together.
If you have a house and you have your parents living with you, you have seniors, then you have a
Okay.
child,
Who was in the
an adult
military?
child who was in the
Okay.
military, you were in the military, you could be upwards of 4 stickers per house.
You could, but I'm thinking that's gonna be far and few between, but maybe I'm wrong.
We also thought 8 cars in a house. In a household was few and far
Well, it was
between.
few, it was few.
And we
It
found
did
a lot
exist,
more
but
than
it
we
wasn't,
thought.
it wasn't,
I think my intention would be a veteran coming to City Hall, hearing about this policy, feeling good, I get to come in and do this, and then being like, oh, someone else in the household already got a sticker. I don't get my sticker now. You know what I mean? I know that we would assume that families are communicating, sometimes that doesn't happen, people go and do their own thing.
True,
With their stickers.
true, yes.
And not everybody's gonna know this policy front and back like we will. And so, I don't know how to work around that, maybe there's.
You're
some
kinda adding
ways-
in multi-unit buildings too, possibly, right?
Yeah.
3 flats in the north end or whatever, and
Well,
Well-
those are
Those are
listed
separate.
apartment 1, apartment 2, apartment 3.
3, right, yeah.
So
they're
then it's,
different.
each one of those is a dwelling unit.
Right,
And each one of them gets
will
separate.
qualify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my intention is just with, it not truly being then covered if someone else does get it first, if that makes sense.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
I'm kinda going along with Rob here and just, let's, I think we can do this. So if you wanna bring this up next month again, or just kinda say,
I think we need to
Tonight?
find out what kind of dollars you have
okay, that's a good idea.
that's being supplemented there, so that can go in to supplement the loss in revenue for the,
Right, the
free
stickers.
stickers.
correct.
Because, we still have things that we have to do and everything like that, we wanna make sure we have the funds to be able to do them.
So, that's how we wanna move forward then, that's the motion on the table to just have it,
If you
A
wanna make the
generic
motion,
veteran.
let's make it and let's move forward
no
and
limitations.
check with the numbers we have sitting there with that other revenue.
I think you wanna make sure you have your numbers before you
Right.
make a final decision though.
But we could maybe just agree to move forward on this, and if you need to do a motion, we'll do a motion, I guess.
You wanna-
Okay, do we wanna motion it, or do we wanna check where the finances are first and then talk about it
My
again next month?
recommendation would be to hold your motion till January when you have all your information and then you can put together a
There we go.
comprehensive motion.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
everyone okay with that?
very good,
Okay.
very good.
All right, so I'll reach out to Ben in finance regarding that, that funding source,
Yes.
and then we can finalize our motion in January and then send it on its way. Okay,
Sounds good.
great. Next agenda item, block parties. So Alderman Lennon, do you mind just sharing,
Yeah, I can, this was brought up, we did allow a block party on the 3800 block of East last year, or this year. But then it opens the door for, do we allow block parties on busier state roads, county roads and stuff like that? So it was referred to the committee here. We allowed it the one time, but I know that's gonna be a challenge all around the city if we're not gonna be consistent. So that's why it's here in the committee for you guys to talk about it and bring your recommendation to council.
and remind us what street that occurred on?
There was
that-
38th and East,
38th
so it was
and
purging, basically purging, and then 38th Street, so it was just that block, but it's a busy street.
And we do have a staff policy on no block parties on major roadways, but I think it's time to step it up into an ordinance.
And then, so Bob, do you think it's important to, or do you have, all the intel that we need to make that decision now? Or do you think we need departments like fire and police to have some input on this?
You can certainly ask them, I don't know that they're gonna.
Or is it
have-
really more
have a
under your
whole lot.
domain?
We're the one that look out for their traffic patterns and stuff
Okay.
like that. It's, our policy has always been, none of the major north-south roads, no Old Park, no, East Avenue, no Ridgeland, and the major east-west, or actually none of the east-west corridors.
34th.
It should be the, residential roadways north-south, because the bottom line is an east-west road, if it has three people on it, with the exception of like 34th, it's a lot, so,
So,
yeah, they need
Plus
to
you have
be.
ambulance,
that's
routes
their
and
routes
stuff,
to
so
be
that's-
able to
Being
get
a
from-
member there, yeah, we need those main roads open.
Exactly.
Oak Park, that's our,
Exactly, that and the
Anyway.
east-west corridors, so you can
Right.
get.
and
east
you're also
west.
talking like maybe 13th Street where there's some homes there, you don't want them blocking that.
No, you don't want that blocked off, you wanna make sure that, that's accessible for able to traverse
Yeah, we need those
east-west.
main arteries to get
The
to
north,
each
south,
direction.
in the residential would be where the block parties could be held.
Unfortunately, but.
Well, for the most part, that fits into a.
But I don't remember, like, this is the first one I've seen come up with on a main street that wants a block party.
Right, We
Well,
get them every
there's
now
more.
and again, but we've denied them.
Yeah, there's more.
Okay, there has been, okay.
Yes, there has been, but we've denied them.
I mean, they're very few and far between.
They're not a
but-
lot,
right.
not a lot. I mean, a lot of people understand that when you have 11,000 cars a day on the road, it's not safe to be putting people out in the middle of the street, kids playing and everything else.
So there could be an alternative to those blocks. It wouldn't be in front of their house, but maybe it goes on the side street.
That,
You know, say like 38th Street or 37th Street or
that
something.
or the possibility of
Yeah, like you block off between.
some kind
yeah.
of city-owned property.
Yeah.
You know, like, if there's not sports activities going on, or,
Cause they're not far from, what park is that that's there? It's not Freedom Park.
Freedom, I think it's
Freedom
Freedom
Park
on
is
that
there,
end,
that'd be the park district and stuff like that, and we could always talk to the park district and see about that, but that I don't know if you want the things on, cause that's synthetic turf. You want stuff that's got grass.
Only part of it, the middle
Yeah,
is,
you want the
right.
stuff that's grass. Well, you've got the park that's over there at 7th and Highland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. There are other alternatives that may be able to be,
If this block really wants to get together.
Yeah, if they wanna have a
Yeah.
block party and stuff like that, and there's no other alternative,
Right.
and they don't wanna combine with a residential block, that maybe they can do something like that.
Okay.
I think the best approach is really just put the map together and say these
These
streets are not allowed to have.
And we
they
can
can't
bring,
have block
we can
parties
bring them
because of
with
safety
a
and-
map of all the streets that we typically do not allow block parties on, let you look at it, go yes, no, or add or subtract, or whatever you think.
All right, you wanna bring that
I'll
forward?
bring that,
then?
we'll
Okay.
bring that on, in January.
Okay,
Okay, that sounds good.
that's great. I like that idea. I mean, for me, I just think it's really important that we're consistent. And I think it's really important that we have policies to direct individuals to show that
And
there's
right
no
now, we don't
bias or
have anything
any,
there, is that correct?
correct.
It's a staff policy, not an ordinance.
right.
Okay,
So that it's,
gotcha.
very clear why those decisions are being made. Okay, great, so we'll have that for our next meeting as well. Parking fee, we'll move on to our next one unless anyone has any last comments. No? Okay, great. Parking fee schedule. This is a conversation that I've had multiple times with Bob. I know that we don't do regular increases on any of our parking fee schedules, and I'll let Bob rattle them all off because I don't know them all by memory. But I'd like to see, I'd like to review them, like when was the last time there were increases, how much it really cost us to manage these different parking structures, and then if we wanna do something like annual increases due to CPI or otherwise. It does cost us, Bob's department, a lot to manage these different parking structures. The installation of specific signs, whether it's, a super block, whether it's, no parking 10 to 5, whatever it is, there's a lot of work that goes behind that to making those, putting those rules, not only putting those rules in place, but making sure that signage is up and it's current and things like that. And then honestly, I've done a little bit of research, and just by visiting other neighborhoods, our fee schedule and our parking is way behind the times if you compare it to any of our neighboring ones. I mean, Forest Park, Oak Park, they have a very strict parking structure that there's, we don't.
You have all these numbers?
I can bring
That
them
you
to
can
the
bring to
next
us?
meeting,
Yeah.
I can bring them to our next meeting. I
Be
mean,
nice
they don't
to
even
see
allow
them.
overnight parking.
No, they have pods where you can do it in spots, and it's
Yeah.
$75 a quarter
And you pay for
to
that
park
spot.
overnight.
I know, I think it would be almost impossible to do that here, but I like that, yeah.
The other thing that I had talked about with Bob was, like our Basin Fairway, for example, it's a 2-hour limit, it's our commercial district. The only way it's been monitored at this point is by our CSOs, and that's, hopefully that, there's not a true mechanism to know, if someone has reached their allotted 2-hour time, or if they're new. So, I'd like a little bit more consistency with that. I've mentioned to Bob, if we wanted to put in a structure, like, many of these municipalities have now where it's all electronic. You pay for your time on an app, it's monitored on an app, it's very easy for any person to punch your plate in to see if your time is up or not and
Okay.
provide a ticket. How much would something like that cost for us to move in that direction in some of our areas? And Bob, what did you quote?
The pay boxes are around They're around 12 grand a piece now to put them in. And, you'd probably put one per block, put it kinda in the center of the block. Or put them in the, in the depot area with the, streetscape.
That's coming in there, yeah?
Yeah, they were gonna put them along the tracks and stuff like that, instead of the parking meters. We're gonna take all the meters out and then just go to strictly pay boxes,
Right.
just like it's in the parking garage.
There's not that many meters left anymore, is there?
There's about 200.
Okay. I know it's gone down over the years.
Yeah, so, that would be the recommendation, is to standardize and go to the same pay boxes like we have at the parking structure and on, Windsor between Oak Park and Grove in front of Perception. There's a
Okay.
pay box in there too.
Oh, there is?
Yep, that's, in there to capture those parking stalls, cause they used to be metered years ago too, and it's like, it's such a pain,
Okay.
so,
All right.
and
That's good.
then, then you can calculate a rate, and then if you've got, it's a discussion that you can have and determine if you want maximums, if you want people to move, if you wanna allow for employees to park. They pay per hour, so if they pay for 2 hours and then they go move their car, or if they pay for 6 hours at one time and just leave their car there, as long as it's, it's being paid for, then, you could look at a lot of different options. And then you could also supplement that with, the permits, whether they're annual or quarterly, for the residents that live in multifamily buildings that are close proximity to the basin, that they could park with a hanging permit in their, car. And then they're, not responsible for feeding the meter, so to say.
Yeah, so so my point is that there's a lot to unpack here. And I'd like to start conversations on, a direction to move forward to. Again, as we just mentioned, we like to follow our schedule, and every March, end of March, beginning of April, our, what's the name of that department? Does it deal with
Collectors?
stickers? The collector's office starts printing, the sticker, application to go out to families and things like that. So any changes that, are going to be suggested need to be finalized in order, if we want it to occur for the next 2020 year. If not, the conversations will continue, but it's definitely a lot to unpack here and a lot of conversations to be had, but I just wanted to see what were our members' thoughts. I know I've shared mine with Bob, but I'd like to see more consistency, and I'd like to be able to have some data that can actually do some reporting to see where some changes need to be made. Bob just rattled off like 6 different scenarios, and I don't believe that, is there a way to track that now without?
No, without going out by hand and going
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right,
So yeah, there's not. The garage, we get, we still have, we still pretty much do manual counts if we're gonna do, monitoring in there. But we do have the ability to go in, and the police department can pull it up in their, in the building. They can pull up the pay boxes, and it'll download to them every space in there that's been paid for, if it's been paid through the device itself. If it's got a hang tag, they don't do anything, so it'll list as not paid, but they have to go through and monitor that way.
so, any comments, questions?
Sounds good.
So are we good with moving this agenda item forward and start having some
Or
more
see what the other
conversations about
towns are
it?
doing and see
And
where
I
we're
think
at.
so, our rates, right now, our rates, the highest rate is the rates that are along the tracks and in the parking garage, and that's $1 a day, basically. Less
Dollar a day?
Less than $1 a day.
Oh my
I
God.
think it's $325 or $350 for an
Pay for the
annual
whole year.
fee. Yep,
Are we able to increase that? I was under the assumption that we can't, or,
we can, we just have to let the railroad know, and they typically, unless we're gonna ask like City of Chicago rates, they're not gonna argue
Okay.
with you for an extra, this or that.
okay. Okay.
Plus isn't our agreement coming up, or the agreement that we have with BNSF, isn't that coming up like in 2023? Where we don't have to have,
Their approval?
as many parking spots for them and
It's
stuff?
not quite that, I don't think it's quite that soon.
Okay.
I think it's more like 6 or 7 years.
If I could add one thing, like, especially in the depot where I'm at, is you've got, business sections where, there's no parking. But then from, say, Home Avenue to Wisconsin, or maybe even Maple, they're all open. And then when you go from, say, Wesley to East, or a few blocks that way, they're open as well.
That's one of the
So
things.
those are the things that we could really look at, and maybe, I know commuters wanna park right in front of the train and get on, but maybe those long-term parking goes in a couple blocks away or a block down, and those are open for the business people to come in and go from there. So I don't know how we could do that, but it might be something that we could look at another community, or do a traffic study or something.
Well, one of the things we've talked about with those is to do a graduated permit rate. If you're gonna be right by the station, you're gonna pay more than if you park 3-4 blocks away and you walk over.
Sure.
Your rate's gonna be substantially less.
Yeah, because most of those aren't commuters that are gonna park over there, they're gonna live in the apartments, or they're gonna
Right.
visit somebody, so that might be something we really look at to see who's parking here. Are they Berwyn residents, or are they commuters, or are they visitors, or what, I don't know how we could do that, but it might be something really to look at, because there's a lot of empty spots, but then there's not a lot of empty spots in certain areas, and I'm sure the Basin Fairway is the same.
It's the same thing with the
Same.
basin, like from Ridgeland to Oak Park, congested.
Yeah,
From Ridgeland going to Lombard, lot of space.
sure.
So, yeah, it just depends on the areas and what's going on and what businesses are surrounding, like you said, what apartment buildings, it varies. It varies, so. All right, great, so, where do we wanna move with this? I'm sorry, what was the recommendation? I know we're gonna move forward with it,
We'll
but
just
what
keep,
data?
we'll just keep.
Okay.
Bring
we'll just-
some fees and schedules in, and we'll continue discussion.
Yeah, we'll bring what we have, what we're charging now,
We'll start from there.
and then we can go from there. Because, right now, the Basin Fairway is $150 a year.
A year
For 365 days.
for all day work, parking for
So,
commuters. I mean,
40 cents a day.
And the other thing we wanna, one of the things you wanna think about too, and maybe think about in the next month too, is the veteran stickers. What are you giving them? Are you giving them carte blanche? Are they gonna get a truck? Are they gonna get a car? Are they gonna get on street? Are they gonna get off street? Are they gonna, are they gonna get an RV? All of those are different rates.
well,
A pickup is,
75.
I'm gonna say, you'll know better than I. I was gonna say 75 or 90, I didn't remember which.
Yeah, might have went up to 90, yeah.
But yeah,
Dump trucks,
the commercial trucks are even higher than
Paying
that.
150 for a sticker.
yeah.
So-
Well, when I brought this forward, I was strictly thinking vehicles. I
Right,
hadn't
cars.
thought, like you said.
Yeah, that's what I mean, we need to make sure we think, and when we put it together, it's gotta be clear, concise, and addressing every scenario, so just things to think about,
Yeah.
between now and next month, when we talk about it again.
Maybe car and pickup, but yeah, I wouldn't go any further than that. No RVs and, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot, that's above and beyond. Do we wanna pick a date for our next meeting now, so that we don't have to go back and forth? Do we wanna pick the second, well, obviously it should be the first meeting of
First one of
right?
January, so we can have something by the second.
Right.
Second.
So we can submit, it's
Which,
presented on its passage.
So whatever that January date is, I don't have.
That would be January 11th.
Okay.
All right, January 11th, and again, as usual, we'll follow the cow schedule. If it's starting at 7, we'll start at 6. If it's starting at 6:30, we'll start at 5.
Give yourself an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, great. Any last comments or remarks? No? Being none, I'm going to call our meeting adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,